It's another ridiculous day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast is scurrying around in a panic over how badly they've botched March of the Machines. On top of that, Magic Arena seems to be on a downward spiral. And that's not even all the news we're going to talk about today.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another installment of Mega Magic News. And it's been a bit since I've been able to do a video. I missed being here. It's good to be back. We are going to talk about the March of the Machine ridiculousness. We're going to talk about what's going on with Arena. I actually have a little bit of good news that's going on for Wizards of the Coast. And then we're going to wrap it all up with some secret lair action. But the big news is the March of the Machine insanity. I don't know what's going on at Wizards of the Coast. We know that Hasbro said, yo, we're cutting workforce costs by 15%. I didn't know that meant the guy who gives the brain medicine to Wizards of the Coast employees was getting fired, but that's what it looks like. The choices they are making. First of all, let's explain what the problem is before we talk about Wizards' response to it. The problem, surprisingly this time, actually centers around the March of the Machine storyline. Normally, when there are bigger problems, it doesn't have to do with the lore, but you need to understand that unlike previous instances, Wizards of the Coast has managed to aggravate so many people that even the craziest parts of the Magic population, you know, the MTG Alex Jones who go, Wizards is putting stuff in the water that's turning planeswalkers into frogs. Those people are now just out there going, yo, wait, what happened with this story? Why is this so awful? Hold on, you told us that March of the Machines was going to have this big overall impact on the multiverse. Like going forwards, Magic was never going to be the same. Now, if you're somebody who hasn't read the story at all, first of all, you've done yourself a favor. It is not written well. It left a bunch of people aggravated. But to sum it up, essentially what they did was they took the dial on Phyrexians and they went, yo, crank it to 1 million. And they're like, Phyrexians are ulti-powerful and one little touch from them, bloopity bloop, and you're a Phyrexian too, right? Oh, wow, be afraid, check it out. They turned this elder dinosaur into a Phyrexian. And you're like, whoa, that's intense. They turned an elder dinosaur into a Phyrexian. And you're like, yeah, check it out. But this other elder dinosaur that bit his head off and got full of oil in his mouth, he didn't get turned. And you're like, wait, what? And they're like, check out the card for the elder dinosaur that can turn into a Phyrexian. We made him indestructible. And you're like, so none of this lines up. But those issues happen with pretty much every Magic set, right? But this massive buildup and then the payoff that came afterwards, literally everybody was just massively let down or rage level over this situation. It's not just the story wasn't that good. I haven't seen people freaking out to this level. So Wizards released a video on YouTube addressing this outrage, and the video is amazing. It's actually part of a sequence of insanity of what Wizards is doing right now. So the first layer that I need to put in under this before we talk about the new video is what they've been doing with the lore video so far. Somebody over there, and this is why I said the thing I did about brain medication, somebody over at Wizards of the Coast said, okay, yo, we stopped making lore pretty much, and now we're leaning back into it. We've got a lore podcast. Why don't we make somebody like read these lore stories? We'll record it and we'll release it as a video for people. And then one of the other people's like, yo, hold on. How about instead we just record half the story? And then the other guy's like, okay, I'm with you. Let's just do half the story because that makes perfect sense. And then another guy's like, wait. I can make this crazier. Rather than just releasing half the story, why don't we release half the story on the Magic Arena YouTube channel? Like, we put everything else for the story on the main channel. This is where you can see the trailer. This is where you can see everything to get you hyped up for the set, all of the other lore stuff. So why don't we just take the story, just read half of it, and put it up on the Arena YouTube? I don't know what is going on here. This is genuinely confusing. I just go, okay. I saw those. That was one thing that made me question their decision making. But when I saw the response, first of all, when Wizards of the Coast comes out and there's an issue, they'll do their normal things. They'll send some people out onto Reddit to go, hey, no, you know what? Everything's fine. And then Mark Rosewater will come out and be like, well, here's what's going on and blah, 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 because he is one of the figureheads of Magic that everybody goes to. So Mark Rosewater comes out and says, March of the Machines really is changing everything. And he's been saying it a whole bunch, but he says a lot of things. He told us, we'll never use mythics for like the big important cards. We'll never make mythic lands. And now you get Ragavans and you get your, you know what I mean? You get your mythic lands. It's all, whatever he says has to be taken with a grain of salt about this big, right? So normally, though, we don't see them trotting out additional videos straight up to address it. So they put out a video that is 1 minute and 10 seconds long to assure us that March of the Machines has genuine consequences. In this video, the individual doing it says, like maybe 50 times. March of the Machines is the Phyrexians, big stakes, we like, to the point where, is this your first take, bro? Like, it feels like Wizards of the Coast roused this guy at sword point, and they're like, wake up, chud. And it's like, he's like, what? Light? Sunlight? Am I being freed? No, it's time to work. Come on. And they just put him in a chair and like, talk about how awesome March of the Machines is. Say that it has genuine impact on the multiverse. And then this guy's describing it. And in the minute and 10 seconds, he talks about how they didn't want to defang the Phyrexians. They're like, we wanted the Phyrexians to feel like a big threat. We wanted them to, not be defanged. And then they have this massive buildup in the story where the Phyrexians are just this unstoppable force that are just taking down planes left, right, and center. And in the last episode, they go, by the way, there's a billion angels on Capenna. And they just went whip, 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 whip out into the multiverse. And then Alish Norn got boomed. And then everybody just fell down. But we didn't want to defang the Phyrexians. Like, it was the biggest buildup to the weakest payoff, but that is somewhat par for the course with Wizards of the Coast. We've seen it with War of the Spark. We've seen problems with literally every story, right? You have the Innistrad storyline where you have just a vampire who is taking a witch away, and you have Teferi there who can freeze time. He does nothing. You got Chandra, fire magic, bonker out of the sky. They do nothing in service of the story. Most of the time, people don't care. People are so riled up about this that everybody is talking about it everywhere. Wizards needs to make these videos addressing it. They're shot in portrait as well, guys. They're shot like it looks like the kind of videos that people would make on YouTube for themselves. Not $1 billion company. It's absolutely crazy to me. It's a sign of what's going on over at that company. The fact that they think that putting out a 1 minute and 10 second video where this guy stumbles through unconvincingly saying that the March of the Machine lore has big impact and they wanted it to really matter. It's like, can't you do these takes again? I don't know what's going on over there, but there are also videos of Mark Rosewater. And in the thumbnail, he looks like he's there to tell you that your grandmother is dead. He looks so morose. It's like, what is this? Who's making these decisions? Are these supposed to be shorts? I suspect maybe they're supposed to be shorts. And whoever's over at Wizards doesn't know that they're supposed to be less than a minute long to make shorts. But I gotta tell you, YouTube crams the concept of shorts down your throat. I've gotten so many emails from YouTube going, do shorts. YouTube, I can't say anything in just a minute. Don't you know how long it takes me to go through the news? I ramble. I can't do shorts, but I have been given a million emails about it. YouTube constantly tried to guide me into it. So whoever is in charge over there of Wizards of the Coast's YouTube account, if those are supposed to be shorts, they're doing it all wrong. And if they're not supposed to be shorts, then it's a whole new level of insanity. Like, genuinely, the level of unprofessionalism is astounding, guys. I thought it was bad enough when they didn't bother to have anybody read the stories they were sent. So the writers wrote the stories, submitted them to Wizards, and then Wizards didn't read them to go, oh, here you said Ren fell on the ground, and then 2 sentences later you say she's caught by Mirren members. That's contradictory. She can't be on the ground and be caught. Also, when I read this story, you called our character Akiri. You have her Akira here. That's actually a completely different movie, and we can't really have that. That's not her name. So, if you could change that, that would be great. And also in this part of the story, the phrase goes like this. This was lovingly created, not lovely created. But Wizards of the Coast, They don't want to pay somebody to read the stories. The guy who was in the short apparently is the lead of Magic's story. I was surprised to see that was a title. I didn't think there was a lead. It feels like they just randomly slap everything together. But the level of reaction where people are storming in and going, what's going on? Like, there's a number of areas where Wizards is massively struggling. And Arena is one of those. And actually, that might be why they were putting the YouTube stories on the Arena account. It might be an attempt to pull Arena players into the lore, right? It might just be them going, maybe if we tease them with half the story, we can get them involved in the lore behind the cards. But the thing is, they're doing such a terrible job with the lore that why would somebody want to be pulled in by these poorly written stories? So you've got this scenario where maybe they're just like, people are upset about what's going on with Arena. The quality's going down. Maybe we distract them a bit with the story. Maybe we get the focus a little bit more on that, because they've reached the point now where they're starting to get into MTGO levels. MTGO to me was known as this buggy, clunky mess. And for a while, Arena felt like sleeker and somewhat better in the past, right? But they just kind of, as they've gone along, they haven't added improvements to it to really make it feel like it's actually flowing more smoothly, but they just keep cramming stuff into it that doesn't work. And they're so focused on alchemy and trying to make as many different cards and just kind of keep you away from wild cards. They spend most of the time focused on how to give you as little for as much possible. That's why booster packs used to be 500 gold, 600 gold, 700 gold, 800 gold, 900 gold. And they're like, well, we're still giving you a discount, right? Like, they do all of these little tweaks. They spend way more time figuring out how much free gem day should cost. So you actually have to buy something if you don't have gems to do this, like, underlying manipulation. But they don't want to take the time to fix problems that cost money. So a great example of that was when they said, hey, alchemy is a format where we never have to ban anything. By the way, we're banning this uncommon. And it's like, sorry, why are you banning the uncommon? Because if we change it, then it won't work in the format and that'll break the combo. So to break the combo, we're banning it. And it's like, so really underneath what you're saying is it would cost money to program it to change it. And like, uncommon wild cards are meaningless and they don't cost you anything because we all have a billion of them. So as long as it's not a rare wild card, you will not fix the problem. You will just go, eh. So it's a complete lie. The whole thing is just skis. So enter in the newest problem where cards just don't work in a way that allows you to glitch and cheat. And Wizards of the Coast doesn't turn around and go, well, until we have this problem sorted out, we're going to disable this card. We're going to reprogram the pack so that they won't give them to you in limited. We're going to create an environment where it's impossible for this glitch to happen. We'll just pull out this problem in the meantime. No. That costs money. You know what doesn't cost money? Threatening your own players and going, hey, if you do this, we'll ban you. Instead of fixing problems, they just go, hey, we're going to kick you off of our game if you do this. And it's just like, hey, did you know you were doing it? Well, you did it anyways. People will get caught up in this net. Some people will just straight up abuse it. And then you've got to go and report. Do you think that Wizard's system is catching every incidence of this? When they say we'll ban you, what they're saying is that if somebody complains about you doing that, they will ban you. So they're not going to go and look into your account and go, this was the first incident, whatever. If you get complained about, they're just going to drop you out of the game. What do they care? They've got 1 million users. They just care about milking as much money as possible. It's absolutely not about the user experience. So Arena, as far as I'm concerned, is swirling ever downwards. It's only going to get worse. I know I don't talk about it that much on this channel, and that's because I stopped playing it, I think, almost a year ago. And I don't regret the decision. It's the least enjoyable way to play Magic the Gathering that exists. You can take, if it's the only thing you can get, it's like a dirty pool of muddy water. If that's all the hydration you can get, slurp it up, boy. Have fun taking those chunks of mud down your throat, but I can't do it anymore, right? So let's move on to some actual good news for Wizards of the Coast. And that is that the Dungeons and Dragons movie is actually apparently pretty entertaining. And so that is going to translate into a bunch of sales for them and help them out. And speaking of the Dungeons and Dragons movie, that ties into the secret lair I wanted to talk about, and that is the Dungeons and Dragons secret lair bonus card. So take a look at this fatty. You got Fatty Boombalati Dragon with like the worst name imaginable. His name is the Ember Chad. That's what I'm calling him, because this is like 3 words crammed together. It is an unwieldy, awful name. So 3 red and 4 gets you a 5/5 tramplin' dragon boy. And when it enters the battlefield, he does X damage to each other creature and each other creature without flying. I forget that part. And each other player, where X is the number of mountains you control. So he just goes kablow in a mono red deck. If you had 7 mountains out, he's just gonna go bam and hit 7 for everything. It's great. That is a lot of fun. A big old inferno. And I like the flavor of his other ability, where whenever he attacks, you can exert him. If you do, he gains flying. Then you go, wait a minute. The dragon doesn't have flying? What's the deal? Look at the artwork, realize he's a fat little stub boy. He's a fat little stubby dragon, and he's just like a gigantic chonker with tiny little wings. So it's really hard for him to fly. And that is actually a lot of fun flavor for a dragon that is insanely destructive, but also incapable. It's like, wow, he's stronger in some ways than normal, but look at him trying to fly. He looks so goofy. He's like Dumbo. That's a fun vibe. And that's how we're going to end it off. So thanks for coming and hanging out, my friends. I am glad to be back. I'll see you for the next video. Big thank you to all of my patrons for supporting this channel.